Hmm.
And there's I'm going to get the number wrong, and I'm sure somebody will call me out. I think it's 400 million lines of code in ECC.
Hmm.
Uh, that all hasn't been rewritten for S4HANA to a supportable service pack. And
Yes,
now we can help you stretch this out
exactly.
to 2030. But I don't recommend 2030. Is do the business preparation first,
Hmm.
the technical preparation, and all of this is before you choose your system integration partner.
Welcome back to Bite Size, the podcast where we discuss all things digital strategy and enterprise technology in 10 minutes or less. I am very excited for today's episode because it's incredibly relevant and timely. And our guest is the expert of experts when it comes to SAP S/4HANA migration strategies and looking at those 2027 deadlines or 2025, 2030, depending on who you're talking to. So today we're going to kind of dig into that over a series of episodes. So with that, welcome, Paul. If you could give us just a quick intro of what you do, your company, and your experience for us to kind of start this conversation.
Hey, Kyler, how you doing? So, Paul Byrne, I've been doing SAP for 25 years. I'm going to say 25 years because I stopped counting at 25, right?
Okay, fair
I ran
enough.
out of
Yeah,
fingers and thumbs, right?
yeah.
So, doing it for a long time. And with that, is going to come a lot of experience and knowledge. And I'm never going to be so obnoxious as to say I've seen everything, but I've seen a whole lot.
Hmm.
Because I'm never surprised at what I see. Uh, and then there's the ability of, can I fix it? So
Right.
the answer is always yes, but it's sometimes a bigger mountain to climb than other times.
Hmm.
So you start looking sort of S4 HANA. Why is it different? What's
Yes.
the upgrade different?
Yes.
I'm going to shock you all. There's a very high percentage of S4 HANA is the same code
Hmm.
that's in ECC.
Hmm.
And there's I'm going to get the number wrong, and I'm sure somebody will call me out. I think it's 400 million lines of code in ECC.
Hmm.
And that all hasn't been rewritten for S4HANA. But now there's also multiple different versions of S4HANA. There's uh, cloud, public cloud, private cloud,
Right.
sovereign cloud. Sovereign cloud is super secure. Governments, banks, and people, defense companies,
Hmm. Yeah.
but that really want it all locked down. But it's also still in the cloud. Then you've got your on-premise version, but you've got it came out 1511, 1610, 1709, 1809, 1909, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023. The next version is 2025. So that was kind of boring. But
No.
here's a little tidbit for you that many of the customers that went on to on-premise
Uh-huh.
stayed on the same version they went on.
Hmm.
So they've got there and they're not upgrading from there.
Right.
Even though many of them, and they've extended some of the dates for those to 2025, before that 1709, 1809, and 1909, they've all been extended to 2025.
Hmm.
Because the it was a 5-year life cycle on different on-premise versions of S4HANA.
Right.
They've extended that out to 2 years of innovation and 5 years of standard support.
Hmm.
Because let's just say the take up hasn't been as enthusiastic with customers as SAP would have
Right.
liked. Uh, and I'm playing that one down a little bit. Uh, so we need greater adoption, and I say
Hmm.
adoption rather than adapting. Adoption means just take it as
Right.
much as possible as is, uh, because and SAP say this themselves. The answer is yes. What's the question? That used to always be the thing. So
Yeah.
you can bend this system out of shape.
Hmm.
And I use this example of going, SAP doesn't generate revenue for you, it doesn't make you money.
Right.
Whereas management, sales, production planning, MRP, uh, procurement, finance, inventory, but together, all those set of tools are really good at controlling your business. They
Mm-hmm.
don't generate revenue. So, or organizations want to think, God, I needed to do this, I needed to do that, and they
Mm-hmm.
bend it out of shape.
Right.
And that's the wrong thing to do. So, where you've got a system of record,
Uh-huh.
and then you've got systems of differentiation, that's where the key is. The differentiation will be things like your MES or your CRM systems, things that make your business different to other organizations. But your system of record is literally that. It is just really an auditing tool.
Right.
It's everyone's going to hate this. It's a lockdown version of Excel, right? If
Ooh.
you post something in SAP or an ERP system and you
Uh-huh.
post it wrong, you've got to reverse it back out, and there's a
Mm-hmm.
full audit trail to do that. Um, like Excel, I can do an Excel up and send it to you and change it, and you can change
Right.
it, and everyone can change it. So there's no control over it.
Mm-hmm.
But don't get me wrong, SAP is a really fantastic tool, but
Absolutely.
the ECC version it's not hasn't the friendliest user interface.
Mm.
It's quite horrible, but there's one of the challenges of implementing it because you're bringing people onto S4HANA from ECC. They still remember the old screens.
Yeah.
And let me ask you a question.
Oh.
How many phone numbers can you remember in your head?
Oh, like my husband made me memorize his phone number when I was pregnant with our children, just in case I went into labor. But that is the only other phone number I have memorized. So probably two.
So then if you transfer that across to transit T codes, as they call them, transaction codes in
Right.
SAP, you have to remember a ton of them. Yes, you can have it on a crib sheet stuck in your desk. But if you're only using it once a month, you kind of got to forget it, or once a quarter,
Right.
or once a
Yeah.
year. And then
Hmm.
you go, no, I don't use it. I've forgotten it. What does that do again, right? Yes, you
Hmm.
can, but you can have pages of a sheet, in a nice little plastic envelope, laminated on your desk to remember. But you're not going to use them. They'll get buried under your desk, and you
Hmm.
forget them. So therefore, you're not actually using the system. The system is using you, right? You're
Yeah,
working for SAP. SAP is not working for you. Now it's the same with any uh,
exactly.
ERP system,
Hmm.
which is you. It's a tool, uh, and the challenge then is always that your system integration partner is only interested in getting you live, right?
Hmm.
And they'll just kind of then they generally throw it over the fence to somebody to support it.
Hmm.
But for me, getting live is the first step because you, as a business user, are going to start using this thing in anger. And you want to see, well, okay, I think the example I used this morning is if I gave you a Tesla, you could
Hmm.
drive it, but
Mm,
after
it's
a couple of
debatable.
weeks,
Yeah.
it's a car, it's a steering wheel, right?
Yeah.
It's going to
Right.
go, right?
Yeah.
You put your foot on the pedal, and it's going to go, right?
Well, I think the hardest part about a Tesla is getting the door open.
True.
'Cause
But
can you get in the car? But I totally see where you're going with this. We could drive any car we needed to,
you get,
technically.
but then how do you get the best out of that car?
Right.
So a couple of weeks in, you're like going, what is all the functionality on that screen thing? How am I gonna? And you're gonna play with autopilot and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Uh, so it's the same with an ERP system. You wanna,
Right.
after you go live and after you get over your hypercare, you wanna say, what else can this thing do for me? Uh,
Mhm.
for my business. And then you go into this. What I say is you go into your once you deliver your business benefits, then you're going into your continuous improvement loops. Going
Mhm.
right here's another big problem we've got in our organization. What can we? How can SAP or any ERP help me with that challenge?
Absolutely. So it sounds like just kind of backing up to the difference between ECC and S/4HANA is really a lot of user interface. when it comes to ease of use. That I think that's a piece that SAP was really missing out of their competitive advantage, because they didn't really ever need to be competitive in the marketplace that much beforehand. Now, as we migrate to the cloud and they're part of that, and that becomes the trend in our industry, they really kind of need to have that. So what's the pressure scenario? Can you kind of break that down for us? Like, why pressure us now as businesses to say you're going to be forced to migrate by this date?
Right. So it's in 2025, it's a 20-year-old system,
Mm-hmm.
right? Do you really want a 20-year-old system running your business? That's the business case, supposedly. But what the pressure is, they're taking away support.
Mm-hmm.
But I've got some good news for you. People will hate me for this, but hey, uh, you, you've got things called EHPs, enhancement
Mm-hmm.
packs. When you bought SAP ECC back in the day, it came with EHP 0, so there was no service pack on there. I say service pack just as a way that some people might understand service pack against
Mm-hmm.
EHP 0. So there was no service pack on it. And then every 2 years or so, SAP came out with an enhancement pack. EHP 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. As of the 31st of December 2025, if
Mm-hmm.
you're at EHP 5 or below, your support runs out,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
That should be an alarm bell for everybody. I'm going to have no support. But then if you've got EHP 6, 7, or 8, you'll
Mm-hmm.
get supported until 31st of the 12th, 2027. But yeah, here's the question. Is ECC going to stop working on the 31st of the 12th, December 2025? No.
Right.
It's a functional machine. It'll keep on going.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not supported if you're below the EHP pack.
Mm-hmm.
Now, going back to what I said earlier, it's your ERP system is an audit trail for your
Mm-hmm.
auditors so they can sign off your accounts and
Mm-hmm.
understand the true picture, system of record.
Mm-hmm.
So after 2025, uh, you can buy extended maintenance. Sorry, I got that wrong. You can buy customer specific maintenance on your ECC5. That's potentially a problem because you're not going to get any updates.
Mm-hmm.
The updates being legal, fiscal, tax, and revenue, regulatory. Sorry, I lost that for a second.
No worries.
They're the four corners you're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
Remembering it's an audit system, so there's a possibility that your auditor might not sign off on your system because it's unsupported.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you move on, this is where we want people to get in touch.
Right.
And even if it's a 1 hour
Yeah.
consultation.
Conversation.
Listen,
Yeah.
and we're not charging for this. We want to help you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Get you up to EHP 6. That now gives you 2 more years of runway, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And we can, as long as we got the ball moving at that point in time, we can then create you a roadmap that brings you at your comfort speed, not at the vendor's comfort speed, to
Mm-hmm.
get you to whichever future state you want to get to, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And note that I didn't sort of say you must stay on
Right.
SAP, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, that's the preference because I'm big on the fact that rip and replace doesn't work,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because
Mm-hmm.
all ERP systems are pretty much of a muchness,
Mm-hmm.
right? Someone will come out with an innovation that's wonderful today. The vendors will just catch up on it and maybe overtake it, and they'll play that sort of catch up game.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but so there's not a million miles between them as there was back in 72, 82, 92, right? Uh, so get you up to a supportable service pack. And
Yeah.
now we can help you stretch this out
Exactly.
to 2030. But I don't recommend 2030.
Yeah.
I recommend saying I'm going to throw a curveball at you, say 2029, because you don't want to get into 2030
Hmm.
and not be supported,
Hmm.
right? So you don't. If we get you past 2025, we give you extended maintenance from 2027
Uh-huh.
out to 2030. Uh, and then there's a possibility of the customer specific maintenance post 2030. But that's not a good plan because you're not getting the updates, the legal, fiscal, tax, and regulatory compliance, right?
A
So
hundred
that's,
percent.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at with that one.
Yeah.
So we're
Yeah.
just trying to build you a roadmap.
Right. And I think that's a lot of times what users don't understand is there are options, but it's important that you engage kind of a coach, right? An SAP coach to kind of get you through what that looks like that's not associated with the vendor so that you can understand what does that really mean for my business and my business goals and what are my options and kind of client rights with that conversation. So and knowing kind of breaking down those deadlines of reach out to someone, have a conversation like you mentioned it, just an hour or so, and understand what are your options. So what are some migration strategies that we can kind of do a phase 0 or a prep phase of migration? What are some strategies that clients can activate today to ensure that they're ready for these migrations, whatever roadmap they take?
So we're big on the phase zero piece,
Hmm.
right? And nothing to do with technology, right?
Yes.
That is get your organization ready for
Hmm.
this. Because changing your ERP, you can go from your current ERP to the same old on a shiny new box.
Hmm.
Cost you a whole ton of money and no benefit, right? So let's say there is some pain. It's like going to the gym, right? You know,
Hmm.
if you're going to go to the gym and look at your phone all day, you're not going to get any benefit out of it,
Yeah.
right? So there has to be look at what's your vision for your organization. What do we
Hmm.
want? 3, 5, 10 years time.
Hmm.
Forget that those deadlines. You know, things. The world changes. Supply chain. Pandemic. War. None of that stuff happens, right? You
Yeah,
know.
exactly. Yeah,
So, and we've had all three of those in the last uh,
exactly.
four
They
four
happen
years.
quite frequently
Yeah.
apparently now in our current climate. So absolutely.
So just it's your vision will get upset by macro
Yeah,
political, macroeconomic issues. So
absolutely.
you can have a 10-year vision, but it doesn't mean after 10 years you're going to get there, and it might get just pushed down the road a little bit.
Mhm.
But if you've got no vision, you ain't going to go anywhere, right?
Mhm.
You get your vision, then you put your strategy together. The vision is the why, the
Yes.
strategy is the how and the
Mhm.
when, and that bring you in that direction.
Mhm.
And exactly getting there. So with phase zero, you're not putting your foot on the gas straight
Right.
away. Go go go. There's what always happens. People go, "Hey, Kyler, you know what? I need you to run this SAP project." And you go, "What is SAP?" Okay, it'll look really good
I
in your
better call
resume.
Paul. I better call him on the phone.
But you're going to go. It's going to. It looks. Your boss is going. It's going to look really good in your resume. And you're
Yeah.
going, "Oh, that's great."
Yeah.
6 months later, you realize that you're way out of your depth.
Yeah.
Uh, your the project's in the trash.
Mhm.
Your resume's in the trash with it. Your
Mhm.
reputation is down the tubes because you failed because
Mhm.
nobody set you up to succeed.
Mhm.
So the phase zero is setting you up to succeed.
Absolutely.
Now
Mhm.
we work with Sana out of New York. She's got her own phase zero, but she puts it with a numeric zero, and
Mhm.
she's got a technical side
I love
to
that.
phase zero.
Yeah, I love her
We love it.
approach. Mhm.
And it's like looking at your licenses, looking at your custom code, looking at configuration, and this the technical preparation for your organization. So
Mhm.
what we're saying is do the business preparation first,
Mhm.
the technical preparation, and all of this is before you choose your system integration partner.
Mhm.
Why? Why? Because you and your team are now better prepared to
Exactly.
speak to and talk to the SI when they come on board. Because, and I don't want to say a generic statement, but a lot of SIs come on board and oh, we want a big deal. Oh, we've got no team.
Hmm.
Let's pick that guy off the bench.
Exactly.
He's
Yeah.
warm. He's got a pulse.
Off the street. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Um, he can spell SAP.
Yeah.
You're the project manager. Oh, okay, I'll do
All
that.
right.
You know,
Cool.
um, and I'm not going to name names, but I've seen it with every one of the SIs, and
Oh, sure.
I'm not dissing them. They need people to deliver something, but they're choosing warm bodies rather than the right bodies. Now,
Hmm.
because you've gone through phase zero and the technical phase zero, you're better informed of
Hmm.
what to expect. And if you've got to call people out on the SI side, and it doesn't mean that we're going to end up being nasty with people going,
Hmm.
I need to replace Paul because he's not up to speed, right?
Hmm.
Uh, and that's cool because we you fail early, you fail small, you recover fast, right? But your team are now more focused and ready for this. They're not being told what to do,
Hmm.
and they're
Yes.
not going through the valley of despair.
Absolutely. Yes. And I think that's such a healthy position. And just to pause for 1 second, I just want to do a time check. So we have 3 minutes left. Um, can you go over by about 5 minutes and talk
I'm
about
good.
resourcing real quick,
Yeah.
or do you have a hard stop?
No, I'm good.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to lay up you a question about that. So I think that's so insightful in talking about the importance of phase zero, both on kind of the organizational side and the technical side. Let's talk a little bit about resourcing because that's been a hot topic when it comes to not only internal competencies but external consultants for SAP S/4HANA migrations. And we have kind of this saying in our current climate, all the good ones are gone. So what happens when you know that you need to either do a migration, you need a roadmap like you mentioned, or you just need some support because you don't internally do SAP migrations, who does on a regular basis? What do you do in order to kind of source that support?
Well, the obvious answer is the quality of consultants that are available
Hmm.
is going to go down.
Hmm.
Not good, because they're not going to be able to give you the best uh, answers to your questions.
Yeah.
And they're not, people will then do what happened in the early days of ERP. They coded around it, not
Hmm.
realizing that your ERP is an integrated system.
Hmm.
And those integrations are already there. Going, I don't understand the difference from uh, sales and distribution to procurement, so I'll
Hmm.
code something around that. And then you end up with a monolith
Mess.
beast, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and nobody can figure it out. Hey, you
Hmm.
know what? There's a good thing in that for the consultants because
Hmm.
then they can stay there forever because they're the only ones who know it. There is the justification in adopting standard
Hmm.
as much as possible.
Hmm.
Is it as easy as they say? Because you know what? My business is special. Hmm. Never heard that before, right? And if I had a dime for every time, I wouldn't be doing this stuff anymore, right? But let's stop bending the system out of shape.
Hmm. Hmm.
Let's like I work with people worldwide, and
Hmm.
my sole objective and Dragon's sole objective is to bring people up the ladder a bit on the
Hmm.
skills. If you're going to ask stupid questions, ask them of me.
Yeah.
And we run programs in a way that it's a no blame culture.
Hmm.
Because kind of if you come to me and say, look, Paul, I screwed up, or I think I screwed up, that's okay. I can fix
Hmm.
anything, right? But if I don't know about it, I can't fix anything. It
Hmm.
comes like 10 minutes to go live and go, it's not working, the integration, what's happened there, and Connor or Paul are running, hiding behind the trash
Get
cans.
ghosted. Yeah.
Gone,
Yeah. They're
where are they
out.
gone? He's gone that
Yeah.
away. But it's like you build that honest, uh,
Hmm.
no blame culture and go. And you know what? The other thing I do, If you don't ask for help, I'm actually going to get much more suspect of you than
Mm-hmm.
if you do ask for help. So
100%.
you
Yeah.
know, it's you don't know, or I don't know all the answers, but
Mm-hmm.
together, you and me, we go, yeah, okay. You bang your heads together and go, yeah, and that,
Absolutely.
because you end up going down one route, one alleyway, a blind
Mm-hmm.
alleyway, and then it's more difficult to come back up. But if I speak to Kyler and she goes, "No, Paul, I wouldn't do it that way," and you go, okay, you know, two brains better than one, right? Uh, and then you're looking at successful outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
Does it make
Yeah.
sense?
Absolutely. And I think that is a lot of times a place in the industry that people don't quite understand because the word consultant, right, is often a negative connotation or it's misunderstood. When really, that's why I use the term like advisor or coach or kind of showcasing what the consultant should be to the business, which is that independent voice dedicated to the business goals only. So, if you're looking for
Oh,
specifically
you just
an
froze.
SAP S4 HANA consultant, what are some specific questions or overall understandings of their competencies that you should be asking? Just knowing that you might have to be a bit more stringent on the interview process and a bit more knowledge based because the quality of consultants might go down. So you need to do your due diligence.
Absolutely. But one of the questions I ask in interviews, I can see everything you're good at. Tell me something you're bad at. Now, people are always taken aback by that. I'm not
Yeah.
trying to trip people up because
Hmm.
I want to find out areas where you're maybe not so strong in, and then I can make sure you've got support in that area, right? I've gone with one particular consultant. He was young. He was a bit shy. He didn't really want to go and see the customer. I went down to see the customer. We were talking about reports and BI, and the customer started asking me. I went, "Oh, don't ask me. He knows it, not me."
Yeah.
But just because I went with him and gave him, his own lead, he had the
Uh-huh.
confidence I was with him to support him. Uh, then he was off and running on his own.
Hmm.
Another on the same assignment actually. I got another guy. He wasn't. He was a project manager. He didn't have in-depth knowledge on this. And the business guy said to me, said, "Oh, so this is the guy you're going to throw under the bus when it all goes wrong." I went, "Nope." I said, "If anyone's going under the bus, we're all going under it
Yeah,
together."
we're holding hands, jumping
Yeah.
under that bus. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
therefore, no one's going on. I don't want to die, so I'm not going to let him or you die either. Right?
Yeah.
It's I don't want to do the Three Musketeers, whatever. All for one,
Yeah.
one for all. It's the you got to look at it from a success criteria. We
Right.
want to we want to get this thing and not just over the line. I want to land it successfully in the organization. And I
Mhm.
hate the thing that people go minimal viable product.
Mhm.
Nobody ever wanted a minimal viable product.
That's such a good point. Like, whoever, like, woke up in the morning and be like, "You know what? I really want a minimal viable product."
It's a,
Absolutely. That's
it's a
exactly what I want out of my day.
Yeah, like, okay, I'm going to buy a car, right? Are you going to accept Fred Flintstone's thing with
Yeah,
the,
right?
it's a car, it's got wheels, right?
Yeah,
Got no
right.
engine,
Yep.
but that's a minimal viable product. It's
Mhm.
it just I never satisfy for minimum because you've now got a business to run on the other side of that.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
you want to have a viable product
Mhm.
that's going to work because it's running your organization. And,
Mhm.
I don't settle for minimal anything.
Good.
And I upset people along the way in the program because I'm telling them no, it's the
No,
wrong
not
thing to do
you.
right
I don't believe it. Not
now.
you. A
It's,
disruptor. I'm
I'm,
shocked.
I'm just not. But it's a really good idea to do that,
Mhm.
but not right now.
Yeah.
Let's get live. Let's get it settled down. Let's get it bedded down. Uh, get everybody comfortable using the system and go, now what else can we do? Like using that screen in the Tesla,
Mhm.
as I said earlier.
Yeah.
Right. What else can this thing do for me?
Yeah. 100%. And I think, that's such good advice. And I highly encourage the audience here at Bite Size to reach out to Paul. If you do have questions about what that looks like for your own roadmap, it doesn't have to just be SAP. It can be any sort of question that you might have. And I think that's how we start the conversation, and we don't end up with garbage technology, is when we actually have the conversation of like, hey, I really don't know what to do here. That to me is a smarter question than having all of the answers and doing it poorly, so that your business is not healthy, it's inefficient, and your overall culture has this veil of secrecy where they're not surfacing issues with the system, and overall you're not being effective. So this is all such great advice, Paul. Where can our audience get in touch with you to continue to kind of follow your thought leadership?
I'm all over LinkedIn. We've got dragonerp.co.uk, our website. We've got our LinkedIn pages of Dragon ERP, and always happy to engage anybody. If I don't know the answer to the question, I'll tell you, but I'll go and find out.
Yeah. 100%. And that's the beauty of this community, is there is so much just overall universal knowledge that's able to be shared across all of the different expertise. So I highly encourage you to pop those questions in the comments as well, and we can go ahead and tag the expertise we know between Paul and I to answer those questions, or to get you pointed in the right direction. That's the overall goal of this podcast, is to ensure that you have the resources needed to get the best technology advice that there is in the industry. So thank you so much for joining us today. Again, this is Bite Size, and I'm Kyler Cheatham. It's been my honor to be your host today. Please feel free to reach out to us via the comments, or wherever you're viewing here. You can get new episodes a couple times a week with our industry experts here on digital strategy and all things enterprise tech. So thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you next time.